Welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us for Wizarding Wands and Mickey Ears Topics and Tidbits live stream. Happy New Year. We are agents with Mickey Travels and Love Adventure Travel who've joined together to share our experiences and knowledge with you. And we are excited to be back for our first live stream of 2022. So it's hard to believe it's 2022. We were talking before, I'm a little in denial, but I was in December. So the fact that we're now in
I know
a new year is crazy. So
what's
welcome
crazy
in.
to me too is, I'm sorry, I was just thinking,
go ahead.
2022, I have been writing 2022 for the year for months because I'm looking ahead, and now I can't for some reason. Every time I type in the year, write in the year, it's 2021. Write a check, because I did write a real check the other day. I'm like, 2021. Oh, no, wait.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. So we are glad to be here. Welcome in if this is your first time watching us, and welcome back to many of you who are frequent visitors. We so appreciate it. So if you're here and you want to leave a comment about where you're watching from, or say hello, or if you do New Year's resolutions, I do not. Do you, Jennifer?
No. I mean, I try to get back on track after the holidays, because the holidays, money just kind of flies out the window, and you eat all the food and you drink all the drinks. So I try to get back on track, but I don't know if I would necessarily call that a resolution.
No. So if you do a resolution, I mean, my resolution would be, let's go to Disney as much as possible, or visit Universal, or things like that. But if you have a resolution you want to share, feel free to drop that in the comments right there. If you follow our Facebook group, with a page and a group where you can share your own tidbits and ways of traveling. We love seeing photos. We love hearing questions. So if you're not part of that, feel free to join in. And then, of course, you're on YouTube. We have a great channel that we continue to share lots of videos and ways that you can enjoy the parks before you're there. So we have been doing we kind of talked about this for a while, and then I feel like kind of quickly we said, we should do this live every Tuesday night. Right. And I thought, oh my word. And it's been it's been a year since we've done our first one. So
yeah, hard to believe. And there is no shortage of information, of new topics, of, questions, of things changing. I mean, there's always something to discuss. And I think at first I thought, how are we going to do this? We're going to run out of things to talk about. But the truth is, there's so much happening that there's so much we haven't gotten to.
Right. Absolutely. And so when we started, we said, maybe we'll talk for half an hour. We'll see. If you've been with us, we can chat for an hour about a lot of things. So, so our goal always is, we're coming to you live most Tuesday nights. We do both have families and children and busy things. So we're not here every week. We did take a little break around the holidays, of course, as well. But we are here when possible, really chatting about the latest news, special discounts, offers, kind of giving you a recap from all the Disney and Universal parks, and then going into a topic. So tonight we're chatting all things transportation, from your airport, getting to wherever you're going, whatever park or resort. So that'll be our main topic, but focusing on that. So one thing, whether that's Disney Cruise Line, or we're talking about a certain resort, if you have things you'd love us to chat about, you can let us know now or at any time. And we love hearing feedback, answering questions and things like that. So
absolutely. And before we get too deep into things, we've got, already some chat from Stephanie Chamberlain. And I know that it's her son Jack's birthday. So Jack, if you're watching, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Jack. Yeah.
Hope you had a great birthday dinner.
Yes. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it.
Yeah. So, and Stephanie said she's just trying to be a decent human this year. It's about time I start. Okay, cool.
I'm sure the second part's not true. Yeah.
But yeah, just trying to be a decent human being.
I think if everyone tried that should just be everyone's resolution, and then we can call it good. So true.
Is that the truth?
Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean, we also, we've got a lot to look forward to this year. A lot of, at least things we're hoping for, soft plans. I think I've got plans for my plans. There's a lot hopefully going on this year, and a lot to share as the year goes on as well.
Absolutely. So I'm hoping to be at Universal in March, hopefully maybe both of us. But I will be there in March. I know we're just a lot of things that have come up quickly, and we're again trying to fit it in amid our lives as well. So hopefully I will be there at Universal for a few days in March. And then we will again hopefully be sailing together in November on the Wish, which is incredibly exciting. So feels we were saying February feels far away, November feels far away, but I think it might blink in a year. So that is very exciting.
I know.
Those trips.
I've got the
I probably have
Princess
a
Half
few others.
Marathon, and yeah, in February I've got the Princess Half Marathon, end of February, with my daughter, and so I think we're somewhere around 50 days. 50
Okay.
days to be prepared to run a half marathon. Okay, gotta get going on that. And then, yeah, hopefully sometime in Universal. I don't know if I can make it yet, so that's TBD.
Right.
And then I am booked on the Disney Magic with my family. I went with my partner in November, and without the kids. And so the actual trip that we had planned, had been, has been on the docket for well over a year, has been their spring break on the Disney Magic. And so we're heading there first week in April. Just booked our excursions over the weekend. So we are ready to swim with some dolphins and do some kayaking and have a great time. So can't wait to share that. Otherwise I'll be on the Disney Wish. We've got a family vacation scheduled for the Disney Wish even before our agent trip on the Disney Wish.
I know.
Officially booked my vacation to Aulani over Thanksgiving. And so that is officially official. It's there, it's real. And now I will be looking at flights every day until I can find a stomach.
Long time coming on that one.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It'll be 3 years, and that's way too long.
So that's exciting. Well, and my bonus one, hopefully, is my oldest is going to be playing summer travel baseball, and they have a tournament in Vero Beach in June. I think June.
Nice.
It'll be every weekend from May to July. That is where I will be, baseball fields, which I'm excited about. But yeah, we're going to be in Florida for a week in June. So I don't know if my kids believe. Oh, now they know. I just told them. But we're going to sneak a few days in while we're down there as well, either Disney and or Universal.
Lovely. Well, and check out Vero Beach Resort.
And we're going to go check out. Absolutely.
Wind and waves and.
So
it's nice. It's I like the Atlantic because I like the big crashing waves, and a lot of folks like the Gulf side better because it's a little bit calmer, but I just love the sound of all those waves on the Atlantic. So
absolutely. Awesome. So we have a few things planned.
Right.
So as we say,
many other little things as we could probably.
There'll be things. Again, if you've watched us for a while, Jennifer will probably work a couple in if she can. Yeah. So and possibly even another two. So we are usually here live. If we're in the parks or we're visiting somewhere, we're not. We're reporting from there, popping in and things like that. So just stay tuned to what happens. But yes, Jennifer's trip will be the first one of the year that will be sharing.
Yeah. So. Oh, and I can't wait. I just can't wait. We've got a 1-bedroom booked at Kidani, at Animal Kingdom Kidani. And that was her choice. I let my daughter choose. I said, where do you want to stay? This is your race weekend. It's her first half marathon. And she picked Animal Kingdom Kidani, and I was able to get a 1-bedroom. So the two of us are in a 1-bedroom, and she's so excited about the jacuzzi tub.
Oh yeah. Just to have a trip with mom. That's so fun.
Right.
That's so impressive. Yeah. Oh, so good. So if you don't know much about races at Disney, we'll talk about that. We've talked about it before too, but especially as it gets closer and Jennifer comes back, that'll be a great way to learn about how you can work in a racing experience and visit Disney World, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Not a bad way to travel. So
no, though it is all consuming. So it's one of those things where we should definitely talk about what it really means to have a racecation at Disney.
Very true. Yes, it is not
very early mornings, and
yes, not if you're maybe going to a resort and then you're running a race as part. It's not that simple. So yeah, to put it mildly, or just going to your downtown and running. Not quite the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like everything at Disney, it's a commitment, but it's totally worth it.
Absolutely. So we were looking back at kind of some news that we hadn't covered or some things that were highlights that have happened since we last were live. So we thought we would start with Disney World. So there's been a few things since
I
as well.
know. And I have to tell you, I think the thing I'm most excited about is Typhoon Lagoon reopening. And I like Blizzard Beach, but I love Typhoon Lagoon. I mean, a lot of it is the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
It's my jam.
It's the theming for me, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do like I mean, I like Crush and Gusher. I like I'm not as much as into the thrill slides, and they have a lot of thrill slides at Blizzard Beach. And I like the fact that they've got some great slides and family slides, and they've got them at both, but there seem to be more to my liking at Typhoon Lagoon. And the wave pool.
Oh my
that
word.
Wave pool is the most amazing wave pool that I've ever been to. I can't say in the world because I don't know. But it's something else.
It is. So Typhoon Lagoon is one of 2 water parks at Walt Disney World. And so Typhoon Lagoon has been closed since the pandemic and really didn't know when it would come back on board. So heard some rumblings and really excited that is now open. It is a favorite of so many people. So there's 2, there's Blizzard Beach and Typhoon Lagoon. Again, goes a lot back to the theming, age of your kids, things like that in terms of preferences, but that's something you can add on to your trip. There's a lot of our clients, we've both gone with our families where you take a day and just go enjoy the water parks, which is so fun. And again, visiting the water parks in Florida means they're open a lot longer than they are where you might be coming from. Right. So it's a great way. It's a great addition. It's a great down day. It's the layout is fantastic. I mean, especially if you have, teens or preteen, they can kind of go and do some things, and you can do so much as a family as well. But yeah, it's great. So
it's the same at Universal. I mean, Universal has Volcano Bay, and Volcano Bay is awesome. And a lot of folks think Universal, I'm going to Harry Potter World. I'm going to hit Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure. Once they realize they need to go to both of those parks, a lot of people skip Volcano Bay, and boy, it's a great water park for everyone.
Yeah.
It's got something for everyone. So
well, and I would say too, like I never defined myself as a water park person. I think there's a lot of people who say, no thanks, for maybe obvious reasons. Like maybe you don't want to be walking. Mine. I didn't really want to walk around in a swimsuit. You don't know anyone there. It's fantastic. It's not like going maybe this is my hang up, my personal hang up. But it's not like going to the water park. Maybe like if you live in a big town that has a water park or like a pool, or even you're going somewhere else, you're not going to know anybody. And everyone's in the same boat, but there's so much more there. Like maybe you say, okay, I'm not going to be doing the slides. Well, there's lots of places to sit. There's lots of places where you can wait for your kids and see them do things. So it's not a typical, for any of them that way, that there's a lot more there than just, I don't know. They're all 3 are really great. So there are people, and again, I think it was, I'm trying to think who commented. Was it Paul who commented on our Facebook? Paul enjoys Volcano Bay, as do a lot of us too. So absolutely. So it's something worth checking out, and we're happy to answer those questions too, as to how it fits into your trip. But you definitely want to consider it for sure. Yeah.
For a good part of the year too. I mean,
well, that absolutely. That's the great thing. So you might be thinking, oh my word, it just opened. Yeah, it's open. You can enjoy it.
Right.
And then as well, Disney's All-Star Sports Resort, which is a really popular one with families, that is reopening. That was actually another really huge announcement too. So beginning in March, that's another value level resort that has not been open. And if you or your family loves sports in any way, it's a great resort for that too. Just with the theming and the fact that there's another value level resort open is wonderful too.
So nice, because the values have been booking up. So it's nice to have that finally back online.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, even approaching that 2-year mark of a pandemic that we're just still getting everything back open at Disney World as well. So more steps going in the right direction. So we like that.
I know. And speaking of things coming back, Disney announced several tours are returning February 6th. And, I know that tours aren't for everyone, but I love some of these tours, and there are several that I've been trying to figure out what to fit in. The one big major tour that's returning to Magic Kingdom is the Keys to the Kingdom tour. And this is a fabulous tour. Folks have to be 16 or older to be part of it, because you see some, things that are behind the scenes. You go in the utilidors, you really learn about the history of Magic Kingdom. When I took this tour, our tour guide was just amazing. I almost cried at the end.
When did you go?
I cried at the end. I went with my husband. It was 2016 or 2000. Maybe April 2017, we went without the kids. So maybe that would have been when we did this tour. But I'll never forget it. And even then my kids were like, oh, I can't wait till I'm 16 till I can go. It's still a few more years, but something that we'll definitely do as a family is, folks who love Disney.
Right.
But I think it's also really interesting for people who are interested in history. If you've got maybe grandparents coming with, and if they're not necessarily as interested in the rides, this might be something nice for folks to do who want to be in the atmosphere, want to know more about the parks, or, looking for something a little bit different. So,
right.
So yeah, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, so it is a true experience. So it's a 5-hour tour, really see, so again, it doesn't mean that you're just a diehard Disney person. I think I always tell people to go to Disney to experience the customer service we talk about so much, or that Disney magic. So to see it in this light as well on a private tour is quite exceptional. So that's a great gift idea too, if you knew someone.
Absolutely.
I don't know. They might want to send on a tour.
I think it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's or maybe like I was even thinking, maybe we have so many multi-generational clients that would go families. So maybe that's something 2 people go and do, and then the grandparents take the kids or something like that. But the fact that all of these are coming back is so exciting too, especially Animal Kingdom has so many coming back.
I know. I was surprised to see so many of them coming back at the same time, but there are several. Caring for Giants tour. There's Wild Africa Trek, which again looks like an awesome, family experience. We've had it on the list, and we were actually supposed to do it, and then pandemic and it closed. So I'm sure that we'll get to that soon, hopefully this year. There's Up Close with Rhinos. There's Savor the Savannah. I mean, there's something for everyone. So
right.
Animals, food, experiences. The Wild Africa Trek is more of a thrill, rugged thrill experience where you actually are harnessed in, and it's not necessarily a ropes course, but you're doing,
right,
some similar things like that to get, up close and personal with the
right.
animals.
So if you've ever been on in Animal Kingdom, the safari ride, and you see the people up above in their little vests and the harnesses, that's the tour. That's you're seeing them. Sometimes they're stopping and having their photo taken, but they're up above you. And that is one of the tour experiences. I know that's always been on my list too.
So. I know. Someday.
Yeah. So it's coming back. So that's a good thing. Yeah. If you love rhinos, one just with a backstage experience with, and some of these are, we talked about the Keys to the Kingdom is a 5-hour, like Up Close with Rhinos is 60 minutes. So there's some that are shorter too. So if you just wanted to be able to, you still have to you need a ticket to get into the park that day. And then you're having a ticket to this experience as well. So those are things we can help you get booked as well. I love Animal Kingdom.
I do.
I could just ride the safari all day, honestly.
I know. I've got clients who ask, who've never been before. They're like, and how much extra is that safari thing that you're telling about, that you showed me the video of? And I'm like, it's included. You can go on it several times.
I know.
That's part of your experience. And
it's pretty amazing, because odds are low that I'm going to make it to Africa. take it on a safari. So, fun fact, everyone, if you have a state where the Powerball is 610 million. So if you win, we'll be happy to plan a trip for you.
To Africa or no?
No, to Disney or Universal or both, or you can bring us with you. All of those.
There you
things.
go.
If I win the lottery, maybe. But I mean, again, the safari is just, it really is phenomenal. And depending on the time of day that you go to, that's why we try to do it twice when we're there, just because you can experience the different times.
And different times of the year, and when it's raining, it's great, to see the animals running around and having a great time in the rain. So yeah. So lots of extra experiences if you're thinking about that as well, or would like, whether you're a first time or maybe you've been a few times, and you want to try something different. There really are a lot of enhanced extras that we just haven't been able to talk about because they were shelved during the pandemic. So another good sign they're coming back as well. So Disneyland, not a lot of updates happening there, really. Yeah, no, but just, still a great place to visit. I feel like a lot more people are looking at Disneyland who are familiar with Disney World. And so that's a whole different education as well, because it's, it's much smaller. It's much easier to get around. There are lots of different things to consider when you're visiting Disneyland versus Disney World. And so it's easier to do, I think, at a long weekend than Disney World too. So I see a lot of folks who don't want to go away for a long period of time, or might just want to get their feet wet with travel again. And they're like, why don't we just do Disneyland for a couple of days, see how it goes? Right. And so, yeah.
Well, and I think Disneyland too, because of its location as well. So maybe you just want to do a couple days there. You can then go enjoy some other attractions in California as well. So people can do that too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just laughing. Stephanie mentioned, she said, if we win the Powerball, we're moving to Golden Oak. Golden Oak.
Stephanie, that is an excellent suggestion. That should have been my question tonight. If you win the Powerball, what would you do? So for those who don't know, Google Golden Oak. It is a lovely community, right? Adjacent to Disney World, that is a very upscale planned community with homes starting,
millions.
Starting at millions.
Yeah, I think 1.5.
1.5 is my guess. I go on every so often and see if maybe there's a sale. But if you love house hunting, which I do, Golden Oak, that is a great
sale.
Like the Powerball.
There you go.
I'll let you all know tomorrow.
It's good to dream.
The drawing's tomorrow. So if you haven't gotten a ticket and you have a state that you can do it, just say. I don't buy them that often. I'm one of those people who waits till it's huge. So your odds are worse. But we'll see.
Yeah, I don't pay attention. Every once in a while I have. I don't know. I don't know.
I know. I'm not.
You need to remind me. You need to just say, Jennifer, buy a Powerball ticket.
I sent it to a lot of people today. I just screenshotted it. It was just like sending it. So I know some people who bought them. So it was 400 on Christmas Eve.
Oh, right. Because you mentioned that. And I thought, I should buy a ticket. Wow.
And I didn't. So I was waiting. So tomorrow's my day. Yeah.
There you go.
But if you're thinking again about Disneyland too, again, Disneyland's different too. We've talked about that too. There's the 3 on property resorts, and then there are a lot of what's considered adjacent right there. And so walking distance, a short ride, and a lot of hotel options as well. So a completely different layout as well. But if that's something you're thinking about this year, or even are planning into next year, happy to have those conversations with you as well.
Absolutely.
And then Disney Cruise Line, still cruising. I think I was nervous about a week ago thinking, would we come back on and be able and say, so sorry, no, but still cruising right now. So
so far so good. It looks like things are,
Disney Cruise Line is not one of the ships you're hearing about in terms of the news of having issues. So
well, and I think, the protocols for different cruise lines are slightly different as far as when people are testing and what that experience is and what the expectation is. And with Disney Cruise Line, everybody cruises or tests before they get on the ship. And so 5+ have to be vaccinated. Everybody, vaccinated or not, is testing. And so it's not 100% fail safe, but to me, that's your best case. I mean, nowhere else do I go where I can expect everyone on the ship to be vaccinated and have tested right before, they entered that space. So.
Right. Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
so those protocols still remain as well. But there have been some things if you are booked or thinking about booking, just to keep in mind as well. So, cruises are a little different than Disneyland and Disney World and Universal, is that you are typically paying, in full a little sooner, and the refund policies are very different as well. The others are just more flexible, just because they can be a little different on a ship as well. So there's a temporary cruise date flexibility option that's now applying to sailings beginning on or before May 31st. So regardless of when you booked, if you booked today or you booked 2 years ago,
Right.
so that means you have the option to change your sail date up to 15 days before your cruise departure. So,
and this is huge. Yeah, this is not normal for Disney Cruise Line.
Not at all. So say either, someone tests positive, or you're just nervous, or you just don't want to travel, to have right up until that 15 days is wonderful. So that's, again, you're choosing a new set of dates, but that's allowing you to move everything as well, rather than having to decide a lot further out as well. So that is a big deal. So either if you're booked, keep that in mind. If you're one of our clients, we've let you know that, but just gives you, I think they're just trying to give a little more peace of mind as well. So, and trying to say, okay, if something happens, we want to work with you the best way we can.
Right.
So,
well, and they've extended the payments already. So normally you'd need to pay in full pretty far in advance. My sailing would have been 90 days. It's pushed back to 60 days. We paid in advance anyhow, just because we're sailing. Like, it's going to be take a lot for me not to get on that ship. But to get the email saying, you know what, if something happens between now and, April or whenever, you've got that 15 days. I think what they're banking on is the fact that, not the fact, but I think the expectation is that this current wave of Omicron is going to peak in January, and probably, hopefully, I'm banking on the fact that I think it's going to peak in January, and then be much less in February, March, April. And I think Disney Cruise Line wants to make sure that people are able to make a good decision based on real information, in a timely way. So 15 days gives you a lot of time to make that decision.
Right. So that was big news, and especially as you heard, like typically it's 90 days. So just the flexibility that's there should be reassuring, either if you're booked or if you're thinking either about a last minute trip, or do I really want to book right now? Can I move it? You can. That's a thing. Yeah. Have you been stocking anything? Have you looked lately for your own
pricing, or?
Yeah, like, oh, maybe there's a February.
I know, because we have that one booked, and we have our stateroom, and we picked our stateroom on purpose. And, I have for a long time, thought about it and looked at it, and the pricing wasn't different. The pricing was more, so I wasn't going to save any money. And then it went to guaranteed. And so I thought, well, that's fine. I'm happy with what I got.
Right.
I'd love to do a last minute trip with all the things we've got planned this year now. Not right now. It would
have to be pretty good.
I haven't looked, but I've got folks sailing, in a week. Very excited. Star Wars Day at Sea. Big stuff happening. Yeah.
And we're hearing that from, we have fellow agents who have cruised. We both had clients. I had clients cruise in December as well, and only had good things to say again. And some of them were first time. Some, this is all they know, or they knew it previously and still were really happy with what was happening. So again, those levels of extra, as safe as you can be, that Disney Cruise Line instituted, is working. So that's
right. Yeah. I think I really feel like the only difference I've heard from folks is that the nurseries are closed. And so if you've got kids under the age of 3 who are not potty trained, or, who are even 3 or 4 or whatever, who are not potty trained, they can't be in the Oceaneers Club. And so if you would normally be really wanting to use the nursery, those aren't open yet. But otherwise, pretty much everyone else has loved their experiences.
Right. Who wouldn't want to be on a cruise ship right now?
Oh, I know. I can't wait to go back.
Or anywhere sunny.
We're going to have like -20 this weekend here in Minnesota.
Oh, I
Again.
couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And are you going to go running?
A hard time.
Are you going running in that weather?
We'll see. We'll see. I did 2.5 hours on an elliptical this weekend because I just couldn't stomach the idea of trying to do 9.5 miles outside. So I figured 2.5 hours, that's more than 9.5 miles. That's fine. So.
Oh, you're a good sport. I'll just be cheering from here.
Yeah. Oh, that's fine.
Universal Studios, the big news there too is masking has returned for indoor locations. So Universal was really, gosh, I can't even remember. They kind of discontinued masking really
a while ago. I think it was last summer.
I feel like it was summer.
And then never reinstituted it. Yeah.
They didn't. Where Disney really never fully got rid of it, kind of scaled it back and then, ramped it up again. And masking is the same as it was back in December with Disney. And so Universal, again, with the increase in cases, gosh, was it like the week before Christmas? I think they announced it. So masking is back for all indoor locations, attraction, shopping, things like that. And that is still in place as well.
Optional for outdoors. So masking isn't required outdoors for either locations.
Right. So just something to keep in mind if you're heading to Universal soon.
Yeah.
And then we've talked about it a lot. If you are interested, you can always search our videos too. But Mardi Gras is one of the most popular events at Universal Orlando, and why a lot of people choose to visit when they do. But really an incredible time to visit. So if you're still thinking possibly about a spring trip, winter, spring trip, Universal is a great place to visit because of that.
I mean, yeah. Well, and let's face it, it's all about the food and the entertainment. And Mardi Gras is great fun. Right. And so they've expanded Mardi Gras through, the pandemic with the food kiosks and all the different things that they're doing. And then you can't beat the parade. So that's exciting. Super exciting.
So it's kind of like Disney World too. So it's a longer time you can go and enjoy that. But again, a full experience. I mean, think of a festival, but that whole ambiance and energy of Mardi Gras happening at Universal Orlando. So,
and who doesn't want beets? I mean,
and good food. We love, who doesn't love a beignet? So again, we enjoy our food. So we will always tell you which things we like for that reason too. So, but again, I hope I get to experience that in March.
I know.
Live streams while we're there too. So.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So should we move on to our topic?
I think we should. Yeah.
So I mean, as I think most folks are aware now, Disney World has discontinued the Magical Express. The Magical Express was a complimentary transportation from Orlando International Airport to the Disney World resorts. And it had been around for more than 10 years. It had been around for a while. And so folks had really gotten used to that. Huge uproar. I was among the crowd uproaring. I thought it was a wonderful, wonderful service. There are plenty of people who felt like it was too slow. It wasn't for them. It was implemented originally before, ride shares and all of the different options that are available now. And so, I mean, now the difference is that guests really do need to look into the different options for transportation from, if you're flying in from Orlando International Airport to your resort. But then, we should mention that, Universal has had and will continue to have a shuttle that you can book, paid shuttle that you can book through Universal Vacations. But a lot of folks have been using, these other transportation services for a long time. Mm-hmm. And so they're not new to the Orlando area, though they are getting busier. They're seeing their clientele increase as well because people are actually looking at the pricing and realizing, what what it looks like to take a shuttle versus private transportation and, what that experience will be. And so we thought we would just talk through some of the different options that are available. But the one that I think it's helpful to start with is Mears Connect. And that's because we've been talking about it the most recently, because Mears is the company that Disney had subcontracted with to offer the Magical Express. And so they started January 1st, and it really sounds like, for all intents and purposes, it's really a very similar service.
Yes.
The
Same,
process is a little bit different.
place.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
So
what
I
we're
think,
hearing.
yeah, absolutely. So, and I think, again, most people didn't realize that it was called Disney's Magical Express. So why would you not think it wasn't owned by Disney? So, but
Right.
many people knew it wasn't. But again, it was just part of that. Okay, if you're booking a vacation, you have that as part of your transportation. And so not everyone used it. I mean, majority of people did, but a lot, especially depending on what you were doing on your trip, or if you just wanted to get there separately, there's always been the option to book private cars, or once Uber and Lyft arrived, those options as well. So yes, so Mears Connect is going out of that same area. If you've been to Disney before or used Magical Express, signage changed overnight and switched, and seemed a little, can we say a little more advanced, that you have your
It does.
QR code and
Right.
you're getting better updates, in the sense where before you just kind of would wait in line and you weren't quite sure how long it would take.
Right.
And it was getting,
Right.
during the pandemic, was definitely a little more challenging again, like anything with staffing and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
we
so
can
are there-
help with that. Mhm.
Yeah. And right now, the price for the round trip price for Mears to any of the Disney World resorts is $32 for adults and $27 for children ages 3 to 9. And it sounds like the process, what's happening is, we go ahead and book that for you. And then when you land, you receive a text message with a QR code from Mears Connect. You bring that exactly to where the Magical Express was located. So if you are used to using that, if that's familiar to you, B-side of the Orlando International Airport, level 1, all the way down to the end, they're in the same place. You show them your QR code and they get you onto the appropriate shuttle. If you don't have that, that's fine. They can look up your reservation there. Something we learned very recently is that your reservation is also good for 48 hours. And so we know your flight will likely change. Flight numbers change all the time. Flights are delayed, totally normal. They know this. They've been in this transportation business for a long time. And so if something happens and you're rescheduled, even up to 48 hours, your reservation still stands without having to do anything at all, except for check in that kiosk, get on your shuttle and head on to the resort. So
That's great.
It gives you some flexibility, some peace of mind. You're going to have that transportation there. Hopefully it doesn't take 48 hours to get there.
Right.
But delays, no problem. They're ready for you. They'll get you where you need to be.
Right. So if you want the ease of just knowing that you're taking charter bus transportation, there's a place for your luggage, especially again, if you're a large family or you're bringing those strollers or things like that, the ease of just that is a really solid option. I'd say that's what most people are choosing to book. And we're hearing, again, it's only been a few days, but hearing good experiences with it, which is great. But if you wanted to explore other options, certainly there are a plethora, as you can imagine, at a major airport in the United States too. So Uber and Lyft are always an option. I talk about those. I was just there in November, and if you have not used Uber and Lyft before, and a lot of people haven't, if you don't travel, pricing changes all the time. It is based on the traffic. It is based on how many drivers are available. Surge pricing can be in place. So there is a way that you can actually get on from home. You can do it on the website too and just get an idea. That can be dramatically different than when you land. And so my pro tip too is you may pull it up and it might be a ridiculous price. You can sometimes wait a few minutes, check again. That price can drop significantly, and to go between Uber and Lyft.
Right.
As well.
Right.
So again, it depends how many people you have with you. how quickly you want to get there, all of those comfort things as well. But those are options. You can schedule them in advance too. So Uber, you can schedule that. You just have to make sure that flight lands and all those things, because you have that window of time to be out there, but that can save you as well.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of drivers from what I've heard from drivers, because we use Uber and Lyft quite a bit, in a city, and, heading to the airport, it's not too far away. And so the expense is less for us to take an Uber to the airport than it is to park for, a week trip. And so a lot of drivers have said, they will take scheduled trips once in a while, but they don't love to take them because it locks them in, and then they can't take other trips at that time. So if they know it's an especially busy time, they're going to wait for the surge pricing. They're going to wait, to make a little bit more. I find another interesting thing is that a lot of drivers drive for both Uber and Lyft. And so, so you'll see the cars will likely have the decals for both on there. But I mean, I think it's a really streamlined service. The drivers are vetted, the companies are insured. And so it's something that is really worth looking into. But again, you're right, that surge pricing, you just never know. It could be $40, it could be $80.
Yeah, we had friends and we all were flying in at different times. Everyone paid a different amount. And I would say too, know that the Orlando International Airport is zooey. It is crazy busy. So if that feels like that could be overwhelming to you, because the pickup area is, it's busy all the time. It just is. So that's something I think that the fact that you could just be in a more controlled environment, especially if you're coming from New York City, this may not phase you at all, is what I would say. Right. But if you like the idea of just being able to herd your children or whomever in a more controlled, quieter environment, basically, keep that in mind as well, that's scheduled charter bus, there's the perk to that as well. Right. So if you're coming with three girlfriends, you might not care, and you can split the cost, and it's cheaper. So.
And I mean, I think along those lines, car seats. And so when it comes to, a Mears motor coach, when it comes to, we'll talk about the Sunshine Flyer in a minute, but when it comes to motor coach services, you don't need car seats. A lot of the private services will provide them for you, included in the cost or for a very small additional cost. With Uber and Lyft, sometimes it's harder to get an Uber family. You might be able to get a booster seat, but not a car seat. And so that's not something that I personally felt comfortable with when my kids were in car seats or booster seats. And so this has been more of something that we've been doing when they were older and not needing to use those. I was definitely more interested in like a motor coach service and something where I knew I wasn't going to need a car seat when the kids were younger. So again, something else to add to that consideration pile.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So in addition to Mears Connect, which started January 1st, we've learned about another service from, a motor coach company that's apparently been around for years, working with events and different tours. And it will be called the Sunshine Flyer, right? I'm not making that up. Sunshine Flyer. I've read it. I haven't said it out loud.
It sounds like a ride. I think.
I know. Well, when you read something a lot and you're like, this is what it is, I'm typing it. And I haven't said it out loud. But they're starting February 1st. I believe they are taking reservations now. They're a little bit more expensive than Mears. I want to say $2 per person more expensive. So nothing significant. Looks like they'll be picking up in the same general area, B-side level 1 of Orlando International Airport. So maybe, not in the exact same space, but somewhere in there. And that's where, there are rental car counters and, all kinds of transportation down there too. So not just the Magical Express or Mears. But the I guess, gimmick for the Sunshine Flyer is that all of their motor coach buses will be wrapped in it looks like old style train art. And then they are offering entertainment as well. on the drive, and Mears isn't necessarily doing that any longer. So when you are on Mears, even though it was Magical Express, you're not getting the videos, you're not getting the cartoons, things like that. The Sunshine Flyer will offer, entertainment as well. And I think both of them are saying they'll have you to your resort within 60 minutes of being on the motor coach. And so that seems to be fairly similar. And I think it's just going to, it'll be one of those things where we'll have to see over the course of several months, how does this really play out? How are these companies doing? What does this look like? But it seems like another great option. So if you are looking for something with a little bit of character, a little bit of entertainment along the way, you want to make sure that your kids aren't sitting on a quiet bus for an hour. That's something to keep in mind. And I suppose another important piece of information is that, if you're not familiar with the Orlando International Airport and where Universal and Disney are located, they're not directly adjacent to the airport. You have a bit of a distance. And depending on traffic, it can be, even if you were driving, easy 45 minutes. Sometimes more in bad weather, actually. It's taken us longer than that in bad weather and an accident. And things can happen. And so it's not like you're hopping on a quick 15-minute ride to your resort. It's a little bit of a commitment. And so for folks who are used to commuting, no big deal. But again, if you are, from a smaller area, or you're used to vacationing to places that are near the airport, this is going to be a bit of a distance away. So, an hour on a motor coach is not an inappropriate amount of time. But both Mears and the Sunshine Flyer are shared resort services. So they won't necessarily go directly to your resort. You might stop at a couple of different resorts before your own.
Right. You can always rent a car. That's always an option, but you are paying if you're parking at a resort. So you have to factor that in as well. So there's the same choices there always were. It's just, and I know we're hearing that like, oh, we have to pay for it now. But if you do the math on it, it is still cheaper to just take that shuttle service than to rent a car. Again, it all depends. Everyone's different on what they want to do, but there is ease about just getting on something and then just
right. Well, and with a rental car, you'll need to consider the tolls. And so, I have an iPass from Illinois. I have a Sun Pass. We decided, because from time to time, if we're doing other things, we'll rent a car. We're, driving out to Tampa or Clearwater or whatever, or Vero, we'll rent a car, but you do need to be prepared for the tolls. And if you're paying the rental car companies for the tolls, it'll cost you a pretty penny for that. And so we bought a Sun Pass and had it mailed to us. And I think it was $20 and it had $10 loaded onto it. And so, it was only $10 for the I don't know, it's a little doohickey.
I'm saying transmitter, but that's not right. Like I'm doing this because we have one. I know we have one.
I know. Yeah. It's like, it's just a little plastic, I guess, a transmitter, and then it's on suction cups. And so you just, put it up in the car, and that's how you automatically pay your tolls. And that to me is a whole lot easier than trying to figure out how to go around tolls. But I know a lot of them no longer have cash, so you can't pay with cash there either.
Right. They either get you afterwards, or you like go into a panic and like, oh shoot, I don't have any cash.
Right.
That's allegedly that.
Well, and then the last thing you want is for someone to send, a ticket or whatever to the rental car company, and then have you, have to pay extra for those tolls too. So
I think I've had a panic. Oh, I know. This happens all the time. They've gotten better. Now they just like mail it to you because every time I'm like, how have we not learned?
No, but if you do have a toll pass from, a different part of the country, it's worth checking, because I know that from time to time they'll have reciprocal agreements. And I think they might have a reciprocal agreement with Easy Pass now.
I think they don't though. I think that's the one I have. And it was
is that the one that they don't? Because they didn't with iPass.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
thanks,
don't,
a transponder.
probably their own thing. Yeah. They're smart. Okay.
I'm doing great with words, I guess, 2022.
You can tell, we can tell it's been quite the first 4 days of the year.
Yeah, but
What do you think?
on the East Coast, I think whatever is used on the East Coast.
Easy Pass.
Is it easy? Is Easy Pass on the East Coast? There's
Mhm.
some
Or at
pass
least
that's
through New
only have a
England and
circle
upstate New
agreement
York.
with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's worth looking into that because that's changing. Because I have an iPass and I thought I read somewhere that iPass might eventually be included as well. So before purchasing something, just do a little bit of homework because you might have a pass that could potentially work.
Right. And
But
our Facebook group's a great resource. So for anyone, if you travel and you use one of these services, definitely, let us know your thoughts or how it went, or if you used, there's private car services. There's so many different things. And we book those for clients as well, especially getting from Orlando International over to Port Canaveral for a cruise. So there's lots of options for that as well. So we're a great resource, but the group's a great resource for that.
yeah. And I mean, the really nice thing about about a car service is that you have that arranged and you've got someone waiting for you with the sign, at baggage claim that'll help you with your bags to, a really nice luxury vehicle. And so, I mean, I like some of the private car services. And I look at that, I look at the other costs and, sometimes I'm not in a hurry. Sometimes I am in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
When all is said and done, what's an extra half an hour, to use a motor coach if it's a little bit, less expensive. But if you're going to have a lot of bags, sometimes it's nicer to have, a car service, or if you feel like you just don't want to worry about it. Some services charge a little bit more if you are after hours or, different times of the day. But for the most part, most of them are running 24 hours a day as well. So
that's reassuring.
Yeah. Oh, and Steffi in the chat said Easy Pass is in Pennsylvania and Maryland, and that it must still use Easy Pass because they haven't gotten any tickets. So Easy Pass must be
yeah.
Right. I'm like, I knew you drove. I was really hoping that you.
Oh, yeah. And Easy Pass is through New York and New England, where I'm from. So it's all through there too. So yeah, maybe we tried it one year and it didn't. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know. But I mean, there are to the car services, the point of the car services, I think it's worth looking into them if you want, a private service, but just know that there are so many.
Yeah.
And for all of them, you're going to have reviews kind of all over the place. I mean, there isn't, I wish I could say there was a perfect car service that has all perfect reviews, but the truth is we're dealing with human beings, and travel can be stressful. And so not all of them have great reviews all of the time, but most of these companies, again, have been around for a long time and have been very successful. Yes. And so, take everything that you read on the internet with a grain of salt, I think.
Well, and I think those car services too, especially if you're traveling with a big group, the fact that it could be, I mean, price wise could be really close to what you would do normally, especially now that, there is no, free option.
Right.
So that could make a lot of sense if there's 8 people and you need a huge van or something like that. So there's some options out there. I mean, we have ones that we recommend, but there's a lot more that keep cropping up. And as agents, we always talk about places that are good. And sometimes, someone might have a bad experience. It's like anything, right? Anywhere any of us go, you might love a place and you just have a bad night.
Right.
So
well, and some of them will have a complimentary stop at a grocery store. And so if you wanted to order groceries, stop at the grocery store, pick those up, head on over to your resort. That's a really nice service too. So something to consider with those private services. But I feel like for most of them, when I price it out, is somewhere around a group of 6, 7, 8. If you are traveling with that many people, then you can break even or save money over, going with a motor coach service if you decide to go with private transportation.
Right. Absolutely.
And that, I mean, I'm talking specifically between the resorts. And, Orlando International Airport, that'll be different to the coasts. Yes. And so, that pricing is a lot more. Same thing, I know a lot of folks who cruise and they really like to try to take Uber or Lyft. I don't know about you. That's not a gamble I want to take, I mean, those cars are there, but again, you've got the surge pricing. And so you could spend $120, you could spend $220. You just don't know how much that's going to cost, to get you out there, and how long it'll take too, because I mean, that stretch of road between Orlando International Airport and Port Canaveral, it's kind of narrow in places. And if there is an accident or two, that can make, your hour, 15-minute trip 2 hours. So yeah. So, I don't want to discourage people from taking Uber or Lyft, but just know that, if you're sitting at home on the couch and looking at pricing, it might be different if you arrive at a really busy time in the airport and, you're wanting that $40 Uber and you're not finding it. So.
Well, and I would say too, one thing about that too, is even the return to the airport as well. I mean, if you're booking a motor coach service, you're going to have a scheduled time. You have a seat, you have a time. You're at the mercy of Uber and Lyft, and that we kind of ran into that. My friends were leaving before me, and we gave ourselves plenty of time, called, and just one of those freak things. They just kept saying it was coming and it wasn't coming. And almost got to the point where we're going to have to just grab a taxi. It finally came, but it's stressful when you have people who don't like to cut it as close as some people. You just want to make sure you get there. So that's a gamble as well too. Again, you're at the mercy of I'm not saying motor coaches are perfect, but they're running a little more. You just know what time. For sure.
Right. I mean, taxi service is still alive and well, and Mears also runs, private transportation. Mears runs taxis too. I would say, I think the Mears taxis are really nice. There are some others that I've been on that I will call Mears now just because I know, I know better. Yes. But you live and you learn. So there are some that your mileage may vary, with taxi services too, but they'll get you there. Right. There was something else that you mentioned. Oh, yeah. When it comes to Uber and Lyft, even if you're looking to take that to the parks, say you want, a quick ride to the parks. I remember very distinctly on Thanksgiving a few years ago, we were in a situation where we had a tour booked first thing in the morning. My dad and I had a tour booked first thing in the morning, and we had planned to get on the resort bus an hour ahead of time. And of course, as happens, we were running late, and I thought, no problem. Uber, Lyft, so we got in line for the bus, and then, tried to call Uber, Lyft, nothing. Finally, we were able to get on a bus and got there just a few minutes late and still was able to make the tour. But it was a busy time. It was Thanksgiving morning. Lots of people, were trying to get where they wanted to go quickly. And there was not, I kept selecting them and then they would disappear, disappear. So you thought one was coming for an exorbitant amount of money. I want to say I was willing to pay like $35 or $40 for an Uber or Lyft between where we were staying, the Disney resort. We were at Saratoga Springs at that point in time, and Magic Kingdom, nothing. So I think it's tough to rely on Uber and Lyft if you need it, specifically in that time on a potentially very busy day. Right. And if you're not familiar with the crowds and the traffic and the patterns, it's tough to, figure out what that's going to look like.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
but I think, the short story is that there are a lot of transportation options. There are a lot of great transportation options, and it's just an extra conversation to have. Do you love that motor coach? Was that easy? Is that what you're looking forward to? Great. We can still book you on that. It's very, very similar service, experience, expectation. You go to the same place, a little bit more slick on the technology end of the spectrum, which I'm very happy about right now. Sounds like Sunshine Flyer is going to be the same with more entertainment. But if you are wanting to try more private transportation options, then let's give that a look too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we'll know more as the months go by too. We hear more feedback as well. So we'll keep those updates coming in that sense too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, gosh, I think the one thing that I forgot to say is Happy New Year.
Yeah, I said it at the beginning, but I think you're
I know,
probably
but I
sharing it
didn't say it.
out. Yeah, I know. I know. Fun to be back and chatting. And as always, we have a lot to discuss. So it's been fun.
I know. I'm so excited for just, a change this year. I really hope that 2022 is the year where
It has to be, right?
it has to be where we can really look forward to things. And I mean, we've got theater tickets and things like that. And I just, knock on wood that the shows will happen and not be postponed again. Took us 2 years to see Frozen. We had tickets for Frozen and it was postponed.
No, we're supposed to go.
That
That was one of the ones we were supposed to see in summer of 2020. So it's back on for this summer. So I'm hoping.
It's fabulous. It was even so much better than I expected it to be.
Oh,
So,
good.
oh, loved it. Absolutely loved it. Yeah. Well, so if there is a specific topic that you are interested in, in hearing us talk a little bit more about, explain, please let us know. Either mention it in the chat, comment on the Wizarding Wands and Mickey Ears YouTube channel or Facebook page. We'll take a look at that, add that to some of the plans. Of course, in general, we'd like to be timely with things. So if there's something that pops up, we'll use that as our topic. But I think that there are a lot of different things that we can delve into, over the course of the year when it comes to resorts and the different parks and what we're seeing and noticing. And that's our goal. Our goal is to be a little bit more pointed in some of the topics that we're able to discuss, in addition to mentioning all of the news. And I don't know about you, I'm hoping that the news slows down just a little bit, except for everything reopening. I just want reopening dates.
Yep. We just need those, and then we can cover maybe even 1 to 2 topics on these calls.
Right. Yeah. But thanks so much for joining us. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, and the thumbs up. The like button is wonderful. That helps us get through the algorithms for folks who are searching for Disney and Universal content on YouTube and on the internet to be able to see that. And then again, if there's anything that you would like us to discuss, let us know. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, enjoy the journey. Have a good night.